Right, welcome back. This is episode 4 of the Big Author Sleepover. It's going to be complete chaos as usual because it's me. We've got the lovely Sian Claven with us. Did I say that right?
Almost, Claven.
Almost. Did my best today. And I shockingly have to admit I've not read any of your novels.
I fall more into the slow burn genre, so I'm more. I think of the hidden secret.
Well, I do like that. I like a bit of gore and a bit of, but I'm more slow burn, more so. So give us a quick introduction of yourself.
Okay, I am Sian. I am a 35-year-old horror author in South Africa. I live with 6 dogs, 2 cats, and I started writing about 5 years ago. I've published about 25 books, and I've been in about 4 anthologies.
That's really, really cool. Really, really cool. What is your what are your inspirations? Not inspirations. What am I saying? Influences. Who are your authors that you like to read, and do you think they've influenced you in any way?
Definitely a cliche is Stephen King. I read Stephen King for the first time when I was a kid, way too young, as most people in the 90s were way too young to read Stephen King.
I'm nodding. I'm from the 70s, but yeah.
I think everyone before the 2000s was too young to read Stephen King.
But yeah, for sure.
Mostly Stephen, a bit of Clive Barker. Definitely Books of Blood vibe. I quite like. I like a lot of backstory. I like a lot of history. There's a lot of backstory in my books.
Right. See, that's what I like. I like to when you're reading it and it's just unfolded. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's more, and you're like, and you're digging deeper and deeper. And as I say, I like splatterpunk, and I like extreme. I like that in your face. It's kind of like I like both, but if I was to choose one, I would say more slow burn type. Do you know what I mean? That's my sort of.
If I had to be honest, I am too scared to read a splatterpunk book because I have an extremely tactile imagination. So if you describe something to me, I can taste it, I can feel it. It is the most disgusting imagination you can actually have.
Yeah, that's not splatterpunk extreme. Probably not. No. I've done it a few times. Zola by Dave McCluskey, and I read that, and there were several times, and I nearly tapped out. There's some really, really descriptive moments. DW hits his larval seeds as well. I read that, and I kept balking up through. I was like, oh god, got to keep reading. But yeah, it's good. But so, do you feel you kind of, with your books, which I'm going to read, recommend me one to start with?
Asylum 1.
Right. I'll go with that. Do you feel that you kind of write kind of like Stephen King in that kind of sub
I certainly aspire to. Aspire to. It's very hard for me to pinpoint a subgenre for me. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of things, but I try and follow Stephen King's kind of exploratory horror. That kind of anything can be a horror, from a car to a hotel to anything. To a dog. Mine is cats. I do horrors about cats every Christmas.
No, cool. What's your favorite book by him?
It has to be The Shining, hands down. The whole hotel, the history, the backstories.
I've never read The Shining. I've never read it, and I have only recently. I'll take these off. So I don't even know what I'm not reading. I don't know what I'm wearing. I've only recently seen the film, and that was only after watching Doctor Sleep. I'd seen bits on YouTube. I've seen all the bits, but I've not
Yeah, yeah.
watched it as a whole. Do you know what I mean? I really enjoyed it. I really like that kind of thing like that. See, I'm not a massive Stephen King fan. Everyone's going to hate me for it, but I always feel, and that's personally me, who knows nothing, that he's like books are like 300 pages too long. But that's just
Yeah,
my
yeah.
a lot of few people say it, uh, but having said that, I fanatically love Needful Things, and the film of it. The Dark Half book is just blew my
Oh,
mind.
love the dark
Uh,
half.
and I don't know if it's a book. You'll know you if you're a Stephen King fan. Have you ever seen Rose Red?
Rose Red, he wrote the script for,
Right,
but it's not a book.
right.
There's a
That's a
Rose
shame.
Red book, but it's not written by him. There's a
Ah,
diary.
oh wow. Oh, Ellen Rimbauer's. Is that what Ellen
Ellen
Rimbauer's diary or
Rimbau's
something?
diary,
Yeah.
but it's not written by Stephen. It's written by someone else.
I absolutely love Rose Red. When my wife went away on a drama, went away just after we got together. She went away on a holiday because she'd had enough of me already, obviously. And we only had one DVD in the house, and it was Rose Red. So I watched. She was away for 2 weeks, and I watched Rose Red every day, and it's like 4 hours because it was in two parts. You know, turn the DVD over. Yeah, I love it. I'm fanatical.
Well, Rose
Love it.
Red inspired my book Buried, which is about an
Right,
underground mansion. Also, that same kind of history of people going missing kind of vibe, except
that
mine is
scares
people
me.
who constantly kill.
Right, yeah, yeah. Well, I think I may start with that then. What's that one called?
Buried.
Right. I think I'll start with that. You've said Rose Red, so you know I'm going to have to. I'm going to have
Yeah, it
to
was
now.
definitely inspired by Rose Red. I love a good haunted house. That's always my
Yeah,
favorite.
terrifies me, terrifies me. But
And
what
of
is
course,
the?
you look at
Oh, carry on.
the
Go on.
Rose Red today, and you look
Yeah,
at those graphics, and you're like, the graphics were terrible. The
yeah, for
puppets that
sure.
they used were terrible, but it's such a good story that you actually don't mind. Like
I love it.
it's aged, but it's okay because it's so good. You get so sucked into it.
Yeah, because it's. I always say to people, it's not the Rose Red the film. It's not a film. It's a story. It probably
Yeah.
makes no sense to some people. Like I always say, Interview with a Vampire is it's just story because it unfolds
Yes.
over. Do you know what I mean? I remember watching. There's a sequel, isn't there? Like a sequel spin-off of Rose Red called The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, and a lot of the film is not screenshots. A lot of the film is bits from Rose Red. If you've seen Rose Red,
Yeah.
you don't really need to watch that. It was all right, but you know what I mean. But no,
No,
yours
Rose
sounds
Red
really good.
definitely took the cake out of that. No, like it was okay. It was like a nice recap.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what it was. It was basically a recap, wasn't it? Uh, but so what is you're in South Africa? What is
Yeah.
the author scene? The author scene, like over here. I know, like in America, we always see. I get really jealous. All the authors go. We're going Scares That Care or Texas Author Con or whatever. And over here, we got events. I've got mine Sunday. I've got 3 authors coming to it. That's a bit of a plug I had to put in. What's it like over there? Are you alone?
Um,
Or,
we have Comic Con, which is our big event.
right.
I've done it twice. It's okay. I have to admit, we have very bad literacy rates in South Africa, and
Oh, right,
it's
right,
not a big scene. It's there's a lot of
right.
authors. There are a lot of authors, but
Yeah,
the reception is bad because it's a lot of there aren't enough readers in South Africa, which is sad. A lot of authors
yeah,
are on drives now to kind of improve literacy, especially the kiddies authors. They're
yeah.
kind of like jumping on board with the schools and trying to get the kids to read and stuff. But obviously, I make most of my sales in America and the UK.
Right, yeah. I most of mine, it's weird. My sales, if I was to look at my sales, I would say probably about 91% of mine are to America. Uh, England hate me. You know what I mean? I don't know why. No, everyone hates me. I'm fine with that. Yeah, America. And someone said to me before, it's because it's because America's bigger. That's how the percentages work out. But it still feels wrong. I always feel like Americans, because I always go, Americans must read more. They read more books, and everyone says, no, it's because it's a bigger country. That's why there's statistics. And I'm like, that makes sense to me at least, but I'm dumb. So
I've heard that it's not actually, I mean, obviously we engage with a lot of readers as authors, but if you look at the grand scheme of things, I've looked at the statistics, and a lot of Americans don't read for pleasure.
Right.
So we are looking at a niche genre, which is horror, which is, I think, the third best-selling genre. And we're looking at very niche, very small group of readers.
Yeah. There's not enough readers to go around for all of us, really.
No, it's really always the same readers. Karina, Danica, it's always the same. Always the same guys and girls who read our books.
Yeah. But there's, I think the community forged through the amazing work Books of Horror do, and just in general the indie horror community on Facebook. There's some people that really go above and beyond. Karina, Danica, Tara, Shannon Marie. I'm going to offend people by forgetting their names, but there's like a little core group that just always, you know what I mean? Danica does so much, Karina does so much, and it's nice. Killer Bunny's always flying the flag for extreme and splatterpunk and transgressive. Is that I always get confused between the three? And it's good as an author, and obviously you'll know the same, to know that there is that support out there, because reviews are everything, aren't they?
They are, and it's the most difficult thing to get as an author. People think that we just come into reviews like candy, but I remember when I first started, trying to drag a review out of a group was like pulling teeth out of chickens.
It's like that. It's like that for me now, and I've got this thing like I released Beldam of Oz about a month or two ago, and I find myself, when I don't know if you probably may not do it. I'm really immature. When I release a new book, I keep clicking on it. Any reviews? One review. A couple of days later, still one review, and I get in this cycle of really stressing myself out needlessly over it.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. I literally, because the books generally go live around midnight my time, I will literally set an alarm to wake up out of my deep sleep just to check if anyone posted a review within the first hour of my book being released.
I feel that every fibre of my being, because reviews are everything to us, because it's not. I always say to people, I'm a storyteller, not an author. And people go, oh, I know I've got author on my Facebook profile, but that's just what I've done. But I always view myself as a storyteller. I'm thinking you're going to be the same, because question: if no one read your stuff, you would still write, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's in you to write. You wake up, you want to write. That's what I'm like.
I need to express that creativity.
Yeah. Someone said, I've got a friend who died a couple of years ago, and he always used to say to me, and he'd heard the quote somewhere before, that authors, artists, musicians, blah, 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 creators, we are the kids that survived childhood. We've still got that spark. Do you know what I mean? Life hasn't broken us yet. And I like that. You know what I mean?
I like to think that little bit of immaturity is what keeps us young.
Yeah, I've got a lot of it. I'm very mature.
Yeah, like you told me your age the other day, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And you told me you had grown children. I was like, what?
No, I want grandchildren. I need grandchildren.
Like my age.
Yeah. Oh, grown children. Yeah. Yeah, my daughter's 26. My oldest is 26. I've got 26-year-old, 16-year-old, too many kids, 26-year-old, 16-year-old, 26-year-old girl, 16-year-old boy, 5-year-old girl, 18-month-old boy. So leave a gap between them. I'm probably due another one at some point. You know how it is.
Well,
The
don't
wife is
even, because
the
like I come from a family of 8. So there
oh,
are
see,
5
yeah,
boys and 3 girls in my family. I only speak to one
right,
of them because family. But
families,
my
yeah,
sister, who I speak to, actually always encouraged me to write, and she's always
right.
kind of
That's
been my
really good.
moral support. And when I wrote my first book, she was the first one I sent it to, and she's very fussy reader. My sister's a very fussy reader.
Is this
She
the one that lives
doesn't.
in England?
This is the one that lives in England, and
Right.
she won't read just anything. And she read my book, and she was so blown away by the fact that I actually managed to write a book, and the fact that it was a good book, that she subsequently has got every single one of my books in every form, edition, everything that it can come out, and she's got it.
That's amazing. That is it's gold dust, isn't it? That, do you know what I mean? I growing up, I used to write. As a kid, always writing stuff, and it always used to be a case for me with my dad and his pet witch. May have been my mum, maybe an auntie. My family's weird. It's like Hollyoaks for ugly people. Do you know what I mean? But I would say, "Oh, can you read this?" to my dad. Oh yeah, I'll read it later because I'm. Oh, okay. Say the word. Can you read? I'll read it later. So I never had that level of. But I'm very much a fuck you. I'll do it anyway. So do you know? But you've got someone to show you that level of support is really good because I think a lot of authors growing up, I think a few people I spoke to didn't have that, or have only got one person to push them, sort of thing.
My sister is an incredible person. She manages to support you while keeping you level headed. You know,
That's
she
good.
keeps you
That's a good
grounded
quality.
enough that you don't hurt yourself, because you get your aspirations so high. I mean, when I
Yeah.
published my first book, I was like, I'm going to sell 1 million copies and I'm going to be a world famous author. Everyone has that dream when they first publish
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
books. Everyone's got that. And my sister was like, just calm down. If you sell one book to a stranger, you have done your job.
You're a winner. Yeah. I range
And
from
that was
I
it. That was
range
my
from
benchmark.
I range from being I've said when I was speaking to Mark Green the other week, great guy. I was handsome bloke as well, looks like me. I said to him that I range from being a, like a godlike narcissist. But God, this is amazing. To take a drink of coffee and then go, oh, this is absolute dog shit. Do you know what I mean? There's no middle ground. I either love what I'm doing and then that same piece of work, I'll hate it, and like self doubt. Do you suffer anxiety and self doubt as an author?
I actually do suffer as anxiety as a mental disorder. I suffer from
Right,
bad anxiety. So my self doubt is incredibly high. But
right,
I met an author in South Africa called Tony Cox. She writes fantasy.
oh,
And
right, yeah,
she's also just kind of been my support. She also edits my work. So she
right,
just
cool.
gives me that kind of motivation to just believe in myself. So I'm lucky because I got a sounding board, because we landed
Gonna
up living in the same place.
Tony Cox.
Tony Cox, go
I
read her
like
books, especially the elemental books. They
I like
are epic
fantasy novels.
fantasy.
So, do you sound about like your friend? Well, it's fantasy. Is and like you said earlier, Stephen King is your thing. Is horror your what am I saying? I don't even know what I'm saying. Is horror your go-to genre to read? Because for me, I like historical fiction, historical fantasy, like the Sharp TV series. But I write horror, so
I write horror, but I like epic fantasy.
epic fantasy. Who do you
I
read?
am very much into Tolkien, very much
Right,
into
yeah,
high elvish councils,
love
very
it,
much
love it.
quests and those kinds of things. Like, that's why I love Tony so much, because she wrote these books about elves, and her detail is incredible. And I read her book, reviewed her book. I was a reviewer before I was an author. And then I
Oh, right,
stalked her.
right.
I stalked this chick until she became my best friend. And then we bought a
If it
house
works,
together. So
do it.
her family lives downstairs. I live upstairs.
That's
Um,
amazing.
so it's because I
That's
get to live with my
amazing.
best friend and write with my best friend.
That's amazing. Would you ever write fantasy?
After reading Tony, I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't think I'm that good.
Well, you never know. You never know.
I didn't mean to write horror. It wasn't my intention. When I wrote Ensnared, that was my first book. It's very much a YA horror. And when I started it, it was a fantasy book. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when the characters take over.
They don't do what they're told.
Originally, my book was a fantasy quest book about a girl trapped in an actual book who needed to be saved. Think Inkheart, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah. So that's how my book started, and then it ended with blood, gore, and death.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I kind of sat there and I was like, so this is where we're going.
They never behave, do they? I often, if I'm writing and I know what's going to happen, and because I can't think of the word. Duncan Ralston used this word the other day. A what?
A pantser.
Yeah, that's it. Duncan used that. I love Duncan. Great guy. But he used the word. I've never heard it. But that's what I do. I can't. If I plan too much, nothing will get done because I can't. I hate being controlled. Do you know what I mean? So I always start with a person in a place, and it just writes itself. You know what I mean? A rough idea, then
I'm kind of like a middle ground between the two.
Right.
So I need like a bare bones plan, like a basic like ABC, and that's it. Nothing detailed.
Yeah.
And then from there I can pants it all. Then I can write it all like no problem. But I used to be a pantser until my anxiety got worse.
Oh no, yeah. Well, yeah, imagine. And then you find yourself up at like 2 a.m. Wikipedia in the most random things that if the police ever got hold of anyone's computer history, they'd be like, hold on a minute.
Okay, well, I'm lucky. I'm in South Africa. The crime here is legendary. So Googling how to get rid of a dead body is common. But the problem is I don't have to Google how to get rid of a dead body. Let's not discuss that part.
Wow.
Pig farms.
Excellent.
But anyway, my point was that you mentioned Star Wars today. Your kids were watching Star Wars.
Just making a note. Don't upset Sean. There you go. Cool. Sorted. Friends for life.
You mentioned your kids were watching Star Wars today. I once spent 3 full nights wide awake researching the entire prehistory and post-history of the Galactic Empire and the Jedi for fun.
That's a good
I wrote it all down like school notes. Like I really researched it. I don't know what I did with these notes. I don't know where they are. But I get so hyper-focused because of my ADHD. I'm like, I get so zoomed in. So 2:00 in the morning, I'm looking up if penguins got kneecaps. Because we're going to write a horror about a penguin now. I need to know if they have kneecaps.
Do they? I don't know. Do they have kneecaps?
They do. They actually do.
Oh, there you go. Right. That's amazing. It really is amazing. Do penguins have kneecaps? But yeah,
that was always my great.
Brilliant.
You'd be surprised how many animals have kneecaps.
Well, yeah. What are you working on at the moment?
Okay, so I haven't started it, and it's due on Monday.
That's a good start.
And that is the 4th book in my Killer Kitty series, my Demon Cat series. So every year I've released a short story. It's more a short story of a demon cat around Christmas time and what these demon cats get up to. I've actually been accused of animal abuse. We discussed this the other day. I've been accused of animal abuse, not because I killed the animals. No. Because the lady in my story got a new cat right after her one died. They called the South African SPCA and tried to lay a complaint about me.
Really?
They said so in their review. They're like, they try to get hold of the NSPCA. I'm an abuser. Like, there's a whole review about it on my book.
Wow. Is that the weirdest thing you've had? Like, a weirdest negative review thing you've had?
Probably, yeah. That's probably the
Wow.
weirdest, the strangest one of it. That and don't read this if you want to be happy.
That's that's amazing. I think the weirdest one. I've had a couple of horrible ones, foundless, stupid ones.
Oh, there's
But
always
I think,
those.
yeah, I think my favourite one is some woman. There's two actually. One on the trouble with rabbits. Some woman had said she didn't like it because there was too much travelling. Uh, which don't read Lord of the Rings for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? Uh, I'm thinking of writing a book for this woman where they stay in a room. They're too much. I wasn't fond of all the travelling. What the fuck are you? I don't get it. And one the other day I got on my short story Mary, which is only 7 pages. Uh, and the woman the woman had said, I didn't like this story. 1-star reviews, and they're golden to us sometimes, aren't they? The people
Oh,
go, this is gross.
absolutely.
Everyone goes, I'll buy that. But this woman had said, I wasn't a fan of this story. The twist, it was something like, I wasn't a fan of this story. The twist was easy to spot. It was something that an 11-year-old could have worked out. And then underneath she put, admittedly, I didn't see the twist coming, but I still didn't like it. And I was like, wait a minute, are you insulting my book or yourself? I don't know how that's worked out.
Like it was
Yeah,
predictable, but she didn't predict it.
yeah, people. You
I
know
have
what I mean?
questions.
Yeah, serious questions. She was like, yeah,
I've had
it was
I've
so obvious
seen
what was going to happen, but not
I've
for
seen
me,
some
obviously.
choice reviews over the years for many of my author friends. But a lot of them are the funniest, are the 1-star kind of, because you get the
Yeah,
general 5 stars. This was a great read. I really loved it. It was really funny. But like my best is when they criticize the genre they're reading. Like, I
yeah.
didn't enjoy this because it's horror. Why did you pick it up?
Oh, my big pet hate is, and I always say this, and I'm trying not to start ranting, is people that don't like splatterpunk and extreme. I'll just say splatterpunk. People that don't like splatterpunk reading splatterpunk and then moaning because it's splatterpunk and then 1-starring it. Don't
That's
fucking read.
exactly it. That is my issue.
I know people. It's good for people to try new genres, and obviously, I want people to try new genres. But if you don't like it, don't go off. Like it's just not for you. I mean, how do you stand with reviews? If I mean, you say you used to be a reviewer.
Yeah.
Personally, and this isn't knocking any reviewers. Personally, if I don't like a book, or if I DNF a book, it's only been a couple of books I've ever DNF, but if I don't like a book or a DNF a book, I generally don't review it because I view it as that's just my taste. I like Western films. A lot of people don't.
It
So
has to be a really, really terrible book for me to give a bad review, like a 1 star.
right.
But I can objectively sit back and say I didn't enjoy the story, but it was a good book. And I think
Yeah,
that's what a
yeah.
lot of people are lacking, is that you can appreciate that the story is good without um
Still got about
liking
9 minutes.
the
9 minutes left. But yeah, I mean, how do you stand on things like uh not punctuation, editing mistakes and stuff? I mean, I'm
like
very much
like if it's very blatant, like if it's like consistent throughout the book and no one has put effort in, I will give that a 1 to 2 star, purely because
right.
you should take pride in what you do. Like if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
miss
I
a
get that.
comma here and there, I'm not going to notice it, especially if the story's so good I'm sucked into it.
Edits there, just making that sorry. No,
So
I
it's
I've
mostly
been
just, it's a presentation thing for me. If you're going to be proud of your
right,
book, be proud of your book. At least run it through
right,
an editor.
right. My first lot of books I ever put up on Amazon didn't put indents in them because for me, I really don't see the fucking point in indents. And I know everyone will go, but I just didn't put indents in. It's still the same story. I put them in now, bow to peer pressure. But I was reading a book recently, and it was really, I don't want to say really badly. I've said really badly edited now. Bollocks. I don't want to say really badly edited. There was like names, a name changed halfway through of a character just once. The character was called something else, and I'm thinking maybe that's what the character was called originally, and then when they've changed the name, they've done a
Yeah,
select all,
I've done
and
that.
it's missed it, or I've done it myself, and there was other typos and but it doesn't overly bother me. I mean, if you read Stephen King, read Stephen King, Richard Lehman, I'm a big fan of, Graham Masterson, you find typos in a lot of stuff. So for me, yeah, I don't review stuff unless it's really bad. I think the only low review I've given on anything was on and I love Graham Masterson. I had to get all the Masterson fans after me now. I read a Graham Masterson book. I've read two in the past year, and I know he's like in his 70s now, and it's both recent ones, I believe. Really misogynistic. Is that a word? Was that the right?
Yeah, misogynistic.
Really like if I'd read it in the 70s, like I've read back some older Guy N. Smith, who I love. Some of his stuff, like the amazing Jonathan Butcher sent me a copy of
Yeah.
The Sucking Pit a while back, and I read that, and that's really misogynistic. But it was written in the 70s. I'm not saying it's right, but that's how people wrote.
You have to take it for what it was. That was the era it was. It doesn't make it
Exactly.
right, but it was where everyone's mind space was.
That's how it was. And now I've read these two Graham Mastersons, and they were really. I didn't finish one of them, his most recent one. I just couldn't. But it was like really misogynistic. And then I was like, "How dare you? How dare you, sir? Treat women properly." No, I was just like, "Yeah, I really don't get this." And I kind of thought, has somebody else written this? Or I don't know. It just didn't feel like a Graham Masterson. I'm a big. Do you read Graham Masterson?
I haven't, to be honest, but I know the name.
Really like his stuff. But yeah, it was just for. But in general, I don't lowball. Not lowball.
I
I
will
don't
tell you
rate.
the worst book I ever read. I won't say the name to spare the author, but
One of mine.
The worst book I ever read was by the biggest braggart. He bragged and bragged and bragged that he wrote the most amazing story ever, that I was going to be mind blown. I think I smoked 3 packets of cigarettes. I was still a smoker then. I think I smoked 3 packets of cigarette and drank like 4 monsters just trying to get to the end of this goddamn horror. And it wasn't even horror. It was supposed to be some fantasy thing. But I thought I was dying. Wow. I thought I was dying.
Is this?
And I had to finish it because I had to give him feedback.
Oh, no. That's even worse. How do you handle that as a reviewer? Was it a friend or?
It wasn't a friend per se, but it was somebody within my circle that I worked with. So I just told him that I think he should split the book in 2 and seriously consider, getting a developmental edit on it.
Right, yeah. Wow. Yeah,
and I left it at that. I have never reviewed it. I have never looked at it again. He did split it into 2 books, just by the way.
He did follow your advice.
He did follow my advice.
So that must be hard. Have you ever reviewed stuff for friends and not enjoyed it and told them you did? Or just to get everyone panicking, everyone's gonna be going, oh fuck, that was mine.
No, I've never read something by my friends that I did not enjoy because I refuse to read things that I do not enjoy. Most of my friends are made through reading. So I've read your book. It's really good. And now I'm stalking you because I want more books. So Tony is one of them. Another one is a romance author who I didn't like romance until I read her, was Ashley Roberts. She goes by Robin Ash. There's a few. Carver Pike. Carver was one of the first horror authors to ever give me a chance at anything. He is amazing.
He's I always call him my brother. He's just, he's He's just a nice guy. I'm like a failed Catholic. I always call myself, like a bit of quasi faith, but I never feel comfortable talking about my faith. Except I'm now doing it on a video. Brilliant. But I always chat to Carver. Me and Carver and I feel comfortable, chatting to Carver about stuff. He's such a nice guy. You know what I mean?
Ironically,
He's
I
like an
also chat
advert
to
for
him about
Carver.
my faith.
Say it again.
I also chat to him about my faith.
Right. He's just a nice guy. I mean, he's got a bad bone
No,
in him.
he's
You know what I mean?
amazing. He's amazing. But he's like
And-
you. Like I met you and like you, I just clicked with you because you were so friendly and so nice. Like I generally am drawn to nice people.
Oh, thank you. It annoys me though with Carver because not only is he a nice bloke, but he's a fucking great writer as well. And some people
I know
just
it's
want
not
it all.
fair. Why does he have it all?
It's so unfair. I'm sat here like, what the fuck?
And he's
Carver?
good looking.
Seriously,
Like that's
man.
like he's got the trifecta.
Yeah.
He's like this
Fucking-
good looking American boy, amazing writer, very nice guy. Like it's just not fair. Like
I reckon he's got like 9 toes on each foot or something. There's something not right. We're on
nipple.
you, Carver.
It has to be a third nipple.
Yeah. That's what it is. Scaramanga from the Bond films. But yeah. But we're unfortunately running out of time because, as I always say, I'm a complete cheapskate and I haven't upgraded my Zoom. So we've got 2 minutes left. You on about moving to England, is that right?
I am moving to England hopefully the end of next year to stay with my family.
Awesome.
I'll be staying in the south of England, but I'll definitely come up to the north of England to come visit.
South of England is where I'm originally from, but they didn't want me anymore, so they sent me north. It's like Game of Thrones. They sent me beyond the wall. Yeah, no one wants me anywhere.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah, that's it. I know nothing about anything. We do conventions all over the country, so we will be down near where. I remember you said where your sister lives. We'll be down near there next year, a lot. So we shall have to arrange a meetup.
Absolutely. It will be fantastic.
Definitely. It'll be brilliant. But thank you. Anyway, thank you for tonight. Because you're 2 hours ahead of me.
Thank you so much for having me.
What time are you on there?
We are going 20 to 10 now. I am
20
going
to
to
10,
collect
yeah.
my kitten. I'm going to collect my
20 to 8,
kitten
yeah.
and go to bed.
Thanks for staying up anyway. Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you.
Thanks, Colin. Have a lovely day.
Bye.